Hello, welcome and welcome back to TisforTemidayo. It is technically 12 a.m., but we're going to say it's 11:59 because time is relative. And it is February 3rd, 2026. Today is day 63 of 365 days of tea for me. Let's get started. Okay. So yesterday we did our shoulders, the day before that we did our abdomen, the day before that we did our quads. Let's do our shins. It's been a while since I've done those. So this is one pump and then the second pump. I'm pretty nervous. I'm like, maybe I'll start doing single pumps again just until we get our script from the pharmacy. I put in that refill request yesterday. And throughout the entire month of January, I was doing 2 pumps. I think I have a cut on my legs that burns. So my single bottle, my first bottle, lasted me essentially up until January 11th. Even though I started using it December 1st, but because I was doing the single pumps instead of the double pumps for the first 4 weeks, I think that stretched out the bottle longer than it honestly was prescribed to be lasting. So this one, technically, I'm like, by the end of every month, I should be out of a bottle and need more. It's the beginning of February, so I should technically, again, if we used one for December and we used one for January, technically I should be in my third bottle at this point. We're done. So I think based on how frequent I have been with my daily intake, which is great. I'm glad I'm doing this frequently. Honestly, this is helping keeping me accountable. But based on how frequent I have been, I'm gonna start probably reminding myself to do refill requests at like the end of the month so that by the beginning of the next month, I have a fresh bottle for those next 30 days. And also, February is a shorter month. Happy Black History Month. February is a shorter month. It's only 28 days. So let's read from the instructions manual today. By the way, yes, I did finally wash and braid down my hair. It's in this like very sort of casual braid down, braided at the tips and then twisted down. I'm just gonna leave it like this to chill. I need to oil it and then just gonna continue to let it rest. It was like compacted for a while. It hadn't been stretched, and now that it's stretched, I feel like it just needs like a break. And then we'll meet it probably in the next couple of days, maybe by the end of the week. I'll do a refresh, and then the end of that week, I'll do a full wash day. Maybe we'll talk about a wash day. Anyway, okay. When last we read the T-Gel instructions manual for testosterone 1.62%, we were on section 6.2, which reads post-marketing experiences. And I will show you where that is. And there, we had read through all of the entirety of that chart that you just saw. And we are moving on to the second part of this particular section that includes secondary exposure to testosterone in children. So I will go ahead and point that out. That is as well. Where that is. Let's read. So, secondary exposure to testosterone in children reads Cases of secondary exposure to testosterone resulting in virilization of children have been reported in post-marketing surveillance of testosterone gel products. Signs and symptoms of these reported cases have included enlargement of the clitoris with surgical intervention or the penis, development of pubic hair, decreased erections and libido, aggressive behavior, increased erections and libido, aggressive behavior, and advanced bone age. In most cases, with a reported outcome, these signs and symptoms were reported to have regressed with removal of the testosterone gel exposure, which means a lot of them reverted, which is great. In a few cases, however, the enlarged genitalia did not fully return to age appropriate normal size, and bone age remained modestly greater than chronological age, modestly greater. In some of the cases, direct contact with the sites of application on the skin of men using testosterone gel was reported. In at least one reported case, the reporter considered the possibility of secondary exposure from items such as the testosterone gel user's shirts and or fabrics such as towels and sheets. Which is also why I've heard, and it says see warnings and precautions section 5.2, which we have also already read before in another video. But I think it's interesting to note, like, I've had, one of my first sort of in-depth conversations about the gel specifically and about the procedure of using the gel was with a friend, Haseen, who mentioned that he wasn't on the gel for very long because he knew how strict he had to be about the contact that he was making with other people. For instance, you know, rubbing it on his shoulders and then letting it dry and then having dry skin but not being able to put any moisturizer on it because you had to essentially leave the area at least. The jury's still out on that. I've seen people on Reddit say 8 hours. I've seen people on Reddit say 12 hours. I've seen people on Reddit say the full 24 hours. But either way, you have to leave it to dry out for a long time and to fully absorb. But that also means like, letting it dry and then maybe covering it with some cloth. But it was also like the summer, and so you want to wear a tank top, but then your arms are exposed and you're brushing up against people if you happen to be in a crowded area like a subway, and all of a sudden you're like exposing all of these people to this substance. And so it's like kind of one of the first things I think about when I hear like it might be on your sheets, it might be on your towels. Like, I'm very aware of that. It's why I like to put it on areas of my body that I'm going to put clothes back on as soon as it dries. Um, and I wear gloves while I am applying it so that it's not on my hands, so that I can immediately go back to what it is that I was doing, or what it is that I would be doing if I wasn't recording these videos. And then the only other time that I feel like there would be other contact made with other people, might be like when I'm hanging out with Hayok. But because they are also on testosterone, we don't have the same risk involved in terms of like them receiving a medication that they're not already taking. They actually already are taking testosterone. They take injections, but like a brush of tea here and there from my skin to theirs is not going to be, cause any concern because they're already on tea. So it does work out, and I do feel, kind of lucky that this is where I am and these are the people that I'm around right now. Um, but yeah, I know like my sheets is something that's really like I guess low stakes too. Like that's not something that a bunch of people are gonna be like rubbing up against or anything like that. It's mostly just me in my bed, which is also cool. Um yeah, this is a short section. I'm glad to hear it. I hope, I wonder about like parents and stuff, like parents who are taking tea or folks who might be like interacting a lot with like young kids and how they make sure to stay, covered. I'm sure it's like they're putting it on their shoulders and they're staying covered, or they're putting it on, their abdomen and then that area staying covered. But yeah, I just like, I wonder if there's any testimony online about folks who have like had to kind of change their routines so that they're not allowing that area to be exposed and accidentally brushed up on. Yeah, maybe we'll also we need to get back on Reddit. We need to get back on Reddit, and we also maybe need to talk about like hair care, especially on testosterone, because I know what's coming. Oh God. Oh God. Anyway, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Tea is for Temidayo. Tune in tomorrow for another day of 365 days of tea for me. I love you so much. See you tomorrow. Bye.